When Red Sox president and CEO Sam Kennedy joined me last week ahead of opening night, I tried to get the inside scoop on who'd be throwing out the first pitch. Here's what he told me.
I'd tell you, but I'd have to kill you, so I can't do that because we need you. But it is someone you know, and I think people in the Boston community know well, someone who's a great story of resiliency, and we're excited to see them on opening night.
And he apparently meant resiliency in more ways than one. Turns out he was talking about Robert Lewis Jr. After a lifetime of community service and leadership, he founded The Base, a program that provides mostly Black and Latino kids in and around the city with high-quality baseball and resources to help them reach their fullest potential, both on and off the field. Here he is, along with the Massachusetts governor and the mayor of Boston, on Friday night.
Okay, everyone, let's see those arms.
The man in the middle with the arm, who the invisible crowd seemed to love, almost didn't make it. Robert Lewis Jr. joins me now. Robert, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So you joined a couple of pretty high-profile guys throwing out the first pitch, the governor and the mayor. What did that mean to you to be asked to do that?
You know, there was so much emotion that night. It was one, I haven't seen either one of them over the last 4 months. So it was one, great to see them. But also, I think because it was opening night and with everything going on, just throughout the country, being at Fenway Park, I feel like your boyhood stadium, your boyhood team, and being able to throw out the first pitch, but while being there, while the Red Sox were celebrating, you know, COVID and Black Lives Matter and the opening of the baseball season, I won't lie to you, it was a very, very emotional evening for me in so many ways.
So the good news were you were given a really important honor that few get to have. The bad news, you almost didn't make it to opening night. What happened on your birthday, Robert? Yeah,
on my birthday, I had a fever and had a little shortness of breath. So I go, you know, my wife brings me to Boston Medical Center, where I think I'm just going to get a prescription and they're going to send me home. But once I got there, they actually told me a few things. They said, one, we're going to need to keep you. And two, we're probably going to need to intubate you. So at that point, I was upstairs, rolled upstairs. They hooked up the IV. Then they actually told me they were going to sedate me. And then 12 days later, I woke up. 12 days later, I woke up after being induced in this coma and intubated. And I found out once I got home from my family and others that it was a rocky 12 days. And it was like, you know, hit and miss and days that they weren't sure if I was going to make it or not. But I'm here now. I'm here now, which is a blessing.
How were you different after those 12 days than you were when your wife drove you into the hospital, Robert?
I mean, there's a few different things. I mean, you come out, you after being in for those 12 days and then being at the Boston Medical Center with these extraordinary doctors and nurses. Then I went to Spalding Rehab, and Spalding Rehab had to get me back. And they had little things about touching my nose, and I could not touch my nose. I had to learn how to retie my sneakers, how to brush my teeth. I had to relearn how to walk, to get my strength back, and how to do all of this without being on an oxygen tank. So those 7 days were like some of the most important days for me to get back so I could be discharged and to get home. And once I got home, I realized it was going to be important for me to start walking, to build up my strength, to build up my lungs. What I didn't do for about 12 days, I did not turn on my cell phone because I knew I just needed to really focus on myself. And once I turned on my cell phone and then started watching the news again, it really just hit me what this COVID was doing just really around the world, but actually what it was, the impact it was having on a very local end. And it was about 4 days after I was home, Jim, when my wife told me that a friend of mine actually died from COVID. So this was after I returned home, and then I found out that somebody very close died from COVID, and a few other people I knew ended up contracting COVID.
How close to dying were you, Robert?
From what I heard from afterwards, from my family and others, that there were days that they talked to the doctor and they weren't sure if I was going to make it or not. So, yes. So, close, Jim, close. And I can just celebrate that I'm here today, and can thank the doctors and nurses at BMC and my family and friends for their prayers and blessings and support.
Why'd you decide to talk about this publicly, Robert?
I actually didn't for a while. I didn't. And the truth of this, and there's truth to this. One, I didn't want pity. Two, I didn't know what to really talk about. I did know if there was one thing that was important to me was when I was ready, I was going to talk about the inequities, how this is affecting the Black and brown community. All of a sudden, because of the pandemic, where like we've learned how to feed people or to provide people with health access. And these are all the things we should be doing anyway. To be honest, Jim, you're the first person I talked to, and a lot of it is because I felt it was going to be easier to talk to somebody that I knew, somebody who knew me, somebody who has, actually have documented some of the work we're doing. And part of that, at the beginning, when I wasn't talking to folks, I didn't want folks to just see me as a COVID survivor. I wanted folks to say, yes, he survived COVID, but he's also this person who's out here who gives a damn and who cares about our community. And he's going to bounce back even stronger than ever.
You know, Robert, you mentioned race, and I think that by learning, as many of us, hopefully all of us have, that people of color get the virus more, die from the virus more. We've heard experts, including on the show, say it's not about race, it's about racism. Do you come out of this with hope that with that learning that there will be change and that the broader health, economic, and other inequities that people of color suffer from in this country will be addressed because some of us who've turned a blind eye to it actually learned a lesson here?
I hope so, Jim, because this is not new. This has been right in front of us. It's been in front of our face for years. People have chose to either look at it or not. I believe everyone is saying the right things. We are finding philanthropy actually making a commitment to put more money and resources out there. That's great. I've heard more people say, I stand, against, anti-racism. I stand. The question I ask people, you can stand, but will you stay? Will you stay? Because standing is one thing, and you can then sit right back down. Will you stay? Will you be committed? I think if there's a time right now, government, community, business, and academia can come together and really unite and really show in Boston. Boston is a city that's small enough that can do this with a powerful group of business leaders, academics, hospitals, and a strong government. We have to be about a change because the next generation is at stake. That's what's at stake, the next generation. And honestly, it's partly why, as I've been recovering, bouncing back in the office a few days a week, people are saying, you got to take your time. The lives of our young folks in our community are at stake, and we're going to do our part and continue to strive and push forward because they deserve a better today. And we have to make sure that tomorrow is going to be even greater for them.
Hey, Robert Lewis Jr., I know I speak for the thousands and thousands and thousands of people whose lives you've changed. We're really glad you're back. Stay healthy, get better, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you and appreciate all you do. And take care.
You're a good soul, Robert Lewis Jr. Thanks so much. If you want to find out more about the base's fabulous operation, visit them online at the address on your screen, thebase.org.